much. It's lovely to be here. So, here's my preach. Will you lay down your life for me? It's quite topical, isn't it? I didn't really realize that when I was preparing. I guess some of you have heard about the Cambridgeshire train where there was an attacker with a knife. We were talking about that. What would we do? It was just ordinary people on an ordinary train. What would you do? Would you sort of put your bag up and hide under it? Would you cower down? Would you try and nip into the loo? Would you turn and face them? What would you do? Would you lay down your life for people around you? So that's the question, and it's an uncomfortable question because it cuts to matters of loyalty and surrender. So today I want to talk from this passage with two headings. The cross glorifies God, and the second heading is Jesus galvanizes his disciples. So the context of our passage, just in case you weren't here in the last couple of weeks, is the upper room, a private room, a Last Supper, although they don't know it's the Last Supper, but Jesus does. And he's with his intimate friends, his disciples, and he's washed their feet like a slave. He's done the slave's job. And then he's predicted someone's going to betray him, one of them. Terrible, shocking context. And Satan is there too. He's prowling around. He's trying to waylay them. He's trying to enter them. And in fact, he puts it into Judas's heart to betray. And he enters Judas, and Judas exits, and it's dark. Now we pick up the passage, and Ed's going to read it for me.
So we're reading from John 13:31 to 14:4. So when Judas had gone out, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and glorify him at once. Little children, yet a little while I am with you. You will seek me, and just as I said to the Jews, so now I also say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have that love for one another." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, where are you going?" Jesus answered him, Where I am going, you cannot follow me now, but you will follow me afterward." Peter said to him, "Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Jesus answered, "Will you lay down your life for me? Truly, truly, I say to you, the rooster will not crow till you have denied me 3 times. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am you may be also. And you know the way to where I am going."
Thanks, Ed. It's an amazing passage, and actually there are like 4 sermons in there. So it's sort of working out how to weave this together. When you think of the word glory, what do you think of? Maybe it's watching our king get crowned and all the pomp and the carriages and the jewels and the ceremony. Or maybe it's hiking up Arthur's Seat. Oh, you made it early morning, you see the sunrise. We think of it in terms of achievement, wealth, status, glory. And in the Bible, glory was there at creation. It was a magnificent temple that leaves Isaiah flat on his face. God in unapproachable light. This is glory. And then we see Jesus coming, mountaintop. We've been through his sermon. All these people listening. Wow, glorious. We've seen people getting healed, the limbs restored, demons fleeing. Glory. And Jesus says here in verses 31 and 32, he says, now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself and glorify him at once. Now is glory. What does he mean? It's this dark, difficult context that they're in. And he's talking about dying and being betrayed. What does he mean? And look at all these glories. Glory, glory, glory. 5 times in those 2 verses. It's almost like a tongue twister. Glorious glory glitters greatly glowing. Try and say that fast. But what does this mean? This is glory? Wow. So the first heading is the cross glorifies God. John doesn't specifically mention the cross here, but we know he means that because in the previous chapter, he's talked about the hour. Now the hour has come. Now it's the time. And earlier in chapter 7, chapter 8, he's going, no, my time has not yet come. It's not the hour now. So we know that he means now is the time for his death. And the cross was the most shameful, painful, savage torture and death that they could devise. It was horrific. I don't know about you, but when you see good movies that have researched carefully, not the kind of bleached white everything, quite nice, you see the good movies of Jesus' death, it leaves you completely on the floor sobbing, doesn't it? It was horrific. And Jesus is saying, this is the hallmark of my glory. This is the absolute crux. This is the pinnacle, the high point. So the word doxa, glory, in Greek, means of great worth, something very valuable, very worthy, and weighty, a weight of glory. And this was what the cross was. It was the most glorious thing that God could do. So I've got, because there's so many different, I told you there were about 4 different sermons. I've got a strand, and this is a strand for glory. That's a strand that we're going to see, actually not just in this passage, but woven throughout this last discourse, because it goes from 13 to 17, and this theme is there. So that's the cross for glory, and it's glory of both the Father and the Son. The Father is glorified because the Son obeys and goes and gives his life up because the Father loves the world and wants to make a way. The Son is glorified in this Father's love and decision to ask him to go. It's a beautiful submission, and in the cross we see the glory of God, the character of God. Holy. He can't abide sin, so he's got to find a way. Just. He gives his perfect, sinless Son, the only one who could do it, for us. Loving, so patient, so full of grace, so full of mercy. The cross is glorious. Notice how in verse 32 it said, at once, Jesus was saying, I'm going to be glorified and the Father will be glorified at once. I was wondering, was he trying to prepare his disciples that this is imminent, it's about to happen, but it's going to finish. You are about to walk through this most dense, dark, difficult trial, but it ends in glory. In fact, it is glory, and it's imminent. So fix your eyes on God. And that's what Jesus was doing. In Hebrews, we're told, for the joy set before him, he went to the cross. And in Colossians, Paul says, don't set your mind on things on earth. Set them on things above. Fix your mind on what God is doing. But it's so easy, isn't it, to focus on our troubles and our trials. Something happens, and we focus on that, not on oh, what's going to happen after this? Or what's going to happen through this? In verse 33, he says, little children, yet a little while, and I am with you. You will seek me. And just as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I'm going, you cannot come. That address, little children, is very tender. It's not belittling. It's not, oh, shameful, you're so immature. No, it's endearing. It's a beautiful address. Now that Judas has gone, he's got his people, his faithful ones, and he's addressing them with love. He gently breaks the news, even though it's like last week Samuel said it's a grenade drop. I'm going to the cross, I'm leaving you guys. And they'd left everything. They'd left everything to follow him. And he's addressing them in this way. I'm going. That is a grenade drop. That's really, really hard for them. Jesus says in John 7:34, this is the reference to, just as I've said to the Jews. But look in verse 30, in this one, I will be with you a little while longer, and then I'm going to him who sent me. You will seek me, and this bit he doesn't say to his disciples, and you will not find me. That's good, isn't it? And then I'm going away, and you will seek me, and you will die in your sins. So he's not saying that to his family, his little children. But here's Peter, just desperate for Jesus to remain or to go with him. He said, follow me, and they all did. And now he's saying, don't follow me, you can't. It's difficult for them. So that's glory. That's the first strand. Then he galvanizes his disciples to love as he has loved. Verses 34 to 35, he's preparing them. He says, a new commandment I give you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So that's what he's saying to them. He's preparing them for his departure. He's saying, copy me, love as I love. So, of course, I've gone for a red for love. That's a big theme, a big theme. He says love 4 times here, so it's a big deal. It's a new commandment. We can see it. This is in the Leviticus, the Old Testament, the Pentateuch. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. They know that. Maybe you sit there and think, well, I don't really love myself very much. In fact, I'm in counseling. Or bad luck on the neighbor then. But Jesus is saying, no, it's a new commandment. What does he mean? What's new about it? It's the standard. How are we to love? Not your neighbor as yourself, but laying down your life kind of love, as I have loved you. He loves us so much, and he's so sacrificial and so self-giving. He's willing to die for us. It's incredible. Unconditional. He completely raises the bar. So who are the disciples to love? One another. One another. And that, actually, in Luke's gospel, this passage, this section, happens just after they've all had a big fight, bickering like starlings, fighting who's the greatest. So they did love to bicker. How are they going to do this? So it's also a commandment. It's a commandment. When Jesus commands, it's possible with his help, but it's not easy. So he doesn't command us something impossible to do. It's possible. But the other thing is, when he commands, it's because it doesn't come naturally. Think about all the commands in the Bible. They don't come naturally to us. Ever since the fall, we we are so self-focused, aren't we? So he has to command us, don't do this, love them, do not, he commands us, and it's not easy. So we really need him to help us. The warm fuzzies don't follow us all the days of our lives. We also can't love each other if we don't have his love. We need him in us first. Then we can love each other. And we need to pray against our natural instinctive, what surfaces, or I really don't get on with so-and-so. We have to pray against that, and he will help us in that. And I came across this saying, impossible, I'm possible. It's I'm possible, but it's him possible, only with his help. In this passage, the 1 Corinthians 13, we often read this at weddings. We think, oh, that's nice, that's for them to work out. But actually, it's for the people who drive you completely nuts. Well, maybe that's your spouse as well, but but I just picked out, this is the great chapter of love. Few verses from it. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Ooh, that's a big one for now in this culture, isn't it? It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Wow. We are to love each other from pure hearts with authentic love, as if our lives depended on it. And that's what Peter later wrote in his letter. He learned a lesson. Jesus was preparing them to love because he wasn't going to be around for them to follow physically. So how were people to know who they were following? By how they loved each other. That's the only way. This is the way. So it's a new motive, and it's a good motive, isn't it? Is it obvious for you? Do people know you're a Christian by how you love your other fellow Christians? Is it obvious to you, oh, must be a Christian because of how they love each other? Tom Skinner, who's in 1970, so way back, said this: it has always been the will of God to saturate the common clay of a man's humanity and then to send that man in open display into a hostile world as a living testimony that it is possible for the invisible God to make himself visible in a man. Oh, I love that quote. That sums it up. It's really good. So just, it's like our love for each other is our badge that we belong to each other. We love, we're following Jesus. And it's amazing. It is the norm, really, in church life. It's just, okay, we have open house. Okay, we give. Okay, we feed each other. Okay, yeah, we visit the sick. We try to love people we don't naturally love. We mingle. It's the norm. And people coming in are sort of, oh, these Christians, this is not how the world functions. It's actually a very attractive thing to the world. They can see, and if we show them, they might be attracted. They might not all convert, but they'll be confronted and they'll be challenged when they see our love for each other. And just a little point here, because we're in such a sort of online world now, everyone's attached to their phone. Challenge to Victory Hill: how do we show our love to one another online? Because that's how the world is interacting. I mean, I'm not a techie person at all, but it is a challenge, isn't it? How will the world see, oh, those people love each other. Oh, I better look into this. Jesus is real. Philippians 2, I just wanted to read this because I think it's like the essence of laying down our lives, says, Philippians 2, verses 3 to 4. Do nothing from selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. That's a beautiful passage. So now we move on to verses 36 to 38. And here's this conversation. Peter, if you notice, he's just completely jumped over what Jesus has said about loving. Okay, maybe he's thinking we've got this down, but what's in his mind is this grenade. Where are you going? And I'll come. Why can't I come? Do we do that? I know I do. God speaks, and I've just got something else so on my mind or in my own agenda that I jump over it. I miss it. I think we do that quite a lot because I think God is speaking much more than we're listening. Go back to the last thing he said to you and make sure you listen. That's the important thing there. Last week, Samuel was saying, the good thing about Peter is that he kept the conversation going. And that is a critical key, a very important thing. He's saying, where are you going? Not like a child in the car going, where are we going, Daddy? No, he's desperate. Like a child whose mum has packed her bags and is running away. Where are you going? Why can't I come? But Jesus is saying, no, I'm the one. I have to die. You can't die for the world. I have to. I have to die for your sins, Peter. And you're about to really mess up. And Peter didn't realize that. So where Jesus was going, he couldn't go. And then he said, but you will later. He predicts Peter's denial. We admire his passion. We admire his confidence. But there was a frailty. There was a selfishness that was there. There was a self-preservation. There was pride. He had things that had to be worked out. And we all do, don't we? We're all on a journey. And he's working things out. He's the potter kneading out those nasty little bits. He was actually the bravest one. All of them scattered. And he followed from a distance. He was the one who risked. But he himself crumbled. He loved himself and his own life more than he loved Jesus. Don Carson, who's in his commentary on John, he had this quote, which says, the Don Carson one. Oh, there it is. Sadly, good intentions in a secure room after good food are far less attractive in a darkened garden with a hostile mob. It's like you just have a delicious gelato and then you say, I'm going on a diet. These are, they've had a big meal. Oh, I'll do this. But then when it's difficult, Obadiah 3. How often have you been to Obadiah? When do we ever hear sermons on Obadiah? Here's a good verse. The pride of your heart has deceived you. You who live in the clefts of the rock, in your lofty dwelling, who say in your heart, who will bring me down to the ground? Pride comes before what? A fall, yeah. And then Martin Luther said, God made the world out of nothing. It is only when we become nothing that God can make something out of us. We have no trouble believing God just spoke and the whole world came into existence. But when it comes to me, God making something out of me, I feel I need to help him. We get in the way, don't we? Jesus changed Simon's name as soon as he saw him, because his brother Andrew was one of the first, the first, along with probably John, to meet Jesus and follow. And then first thing Andrew does is go grab his brother. Jesus sees him and says, you are Peter. Simon apparently means reed or to help or something like that. Peter means rock. You're the rock. He sees it in him. But he had a long way to go to really be rock steady, didn't he? There's patience and kindness in God's timing. And Rodney brought quite a strong word 2 weeks ago to us from Ecclesiastes 3, which is all about time. There's a time for this, a time for that, a time for the other. I remember learning that at school because I was talking in assembly. I got sent to the headmistress, and she made me learn that whole passage and repeat it to her. And the bit I forgot was there's a time to speak and a time to be silent. I completely forgot it. But the point Rodney was making, that he kind of prophesied over us, is there's a time to gather stones together and a time to scatter. And he was saying, it is that time for Victory Hill right now. Time to be gathered together. Who here has never denied Jesus? You did, yes. You're very honest. I think all of us would say in our hearts, we have. Okay? And roosters still crow, don't they? Have you kept quiet when you should have said something? Have you spoken when you shouldn't? Have you laughed at an inappropriate joke? Have you had a bad thought about somebody? Have you not been very loving to one another? So, denial isn't just a river in Egypt. Denial isn't... Oh, she got it. Woo! Denial isn't a sin tied only to Peter's name, is it? Denying you know Jesus is huge. It's a huge thing. And we think denial kind of protects us, but it absolutely doesn't. That's an illusion. That's a lie. And Peter's denial is very sobering and really makes us look at ourselves, spotlights our weaknesses. We can see the sadness. There's the enemy. He's aiming to pick off the disciples, the Jesus followers, especially those who want to sit at the table with Jesus, especially the disciple who leans against him, listening to his secrets, wanting to be close to his heart. He'll be snooping around trying to pick you off and make you deny him. I think he's powerful, but he's not that creative. God is the creator. And he sees it working with Judas, so then he's just trying, like a domino effect. Satan is prowling around. Luke says he wanted to sift them like wheat. And then Jesus said, but Peter, I've been praying for you. He's praying for us. Isn't that wonderful? It's so amazing. So failure, denying God, it isn't fatal unless we quit. And Luke 22, verse 32, Jesus prayed for Peter. There's another passage that I love, it's 1 Corinthians 15, and it's talking about the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus. And in verse 5 it says, he appeared to Cephas. Well, Cephas is Peter. And then to the disciples. And that's the only record we have of this private appearing of Jesus to Peter. It's none of our business what they said. Post this huge failure of denying Jesus, he appears to him and they have a conversation. How amazing, how wonderful. People often brand us with our worst failures, don't they? And we often brand ourselves with our worst failures. But Jesus, like he publicly reinstated Peter in John 21, feed my lambs, feed my sheep, 3 times. I've got a fresh calling for you. Come on. You don't have to stay in this place of brokenness. Yes, you've hurt me. Yes, it's been bad. But I forgive you. Get up. I've got something for you to do. It's wonderful. So I think we bring our offerings of our failures to Jesus. Let's just bring them and surrender them and offer them. You use it, Lord. Use it how you want. Take my failure, take my denial and use it. because I don't want to quit. I'm keeping the conversation going. I want to be with you, however blustering and bumbling and rambling it is. Work on me. So we see Peter after the rooster crow. We see him after the cross. We see him after the resurrection. We see him after Pentecost, and the Holy Spirit comes and fills him. And then he's not cowering before a servant girl. He's preaching to thousands. And he becomes that rock. It takes time. He still makes mistakes. He slips up. Oh, no, you shouldn't be eating. Oh, no. He does some mistakes later. But God is working on him. It's a timing issue. And it all began, the key to his usefulness began, God cut that key on that dark night of failure. It's like a stallion. You have to break them in, a wild stallion. We all need breaking in, don't we? And as Bob has got a fantastic new song, I hope you've heard it. If you haven't, talked to him. There's a wonderful line in it which says, we can stand in God's power, forgiven and moving on. Oh, I love that. Thank you, God. What a relief. What a wonderful relief. Peter did follow later, didn't he? According to tradition, he was crucified upside down. He did lay down his life for Jesus. I often wonder, like, after he denied Jesus, Jesus looked at him. The cock crowed, he looked at him. What was that look like? I think it was a loving look. It was a sad but loving look. It made him cry, weep, sob. What does he see in you? What does he see in me? The beginning when he met him, you're Peter, you're the rock. Here's the rock crumbling, but I'm still there. I love you. How could Peter have reacted to that prediction that Jesus made? How do we react when we get warnings? Like the Holy Spirit highlights something as a warning, or, be careful, this might happen, or you read something, or a prophetic word comes your way. How do we react? What could he have done differently that would have made him open to avoiding that? We have to take heed. In 1 Corinthians 10, it says, verse 12, take heed lest you fall. If anyone thinks that he stands, take heed. Have accountability. Even within this church, make sure you've got accountability. We're with each other week in and week out. Let's be accountable. Listen to warnings. Rely on God. Pray. Satan is looking for a puffed up balloon because it's so easy to pop it. So just be together in these things and be open and honest. In my baptism, many years ago, I got baptized in Mombasa in Kenya, and I had everyone sing. This was my choice. I have decided to follow Jesus. Do you remember that one? Some of you might. No turning back, no turning back. And it's easy to sing, but there comes times when it's very difficult to keep following, and he will test you in that. We sing today, you are my one thing, or Jesus be the center. Easy to sing. Is he really? And he wants to know. He wants authentic, genuine faith. Jesus says, take up your cross daily. It's not about the big kind of magnificent martyrdom sacrifice, although it might be. I'll die for you, Peter says. No, he wants the daily taking up your cross, the lifelong surrender, those quiet things that are unseen, small sacrifices, time, unreciprocal loving, someone who cannot pay you back, laying down comfort to serve. And I grew up in Kenya, and my parents were missionaries. My dad was a doctor. And I remember as a young girl going camping, and Dad was having clinics and they were preaching the gospel there. And a woman came, and she had a very swollen leg, and it was all completely pussy. And I saw my dad recoiling. It was tricky, very smelly, very dirty. And I wrote a poem a bit more recently than that, and about this time. Safari Clinic in Turkana. So Turkana's in the northeast of Kenya. Old lady moans on her scant goatskin mat. Yellow knee, open flow, fly bait seepage. My father treats fevers, skirts around her, hopes she'll limp home. I smell dread. Guy ropes raised, time to go. Instead, he rolls up his sleeves, soaps and soaks, swathing her with prospects of hope. That is towel and basin love. That is love like Jesus. That's what he wants us to do. It's stinky, dirty, horrible, but we step in and we try and help. So, who is this? A bit closer to home. The next picture. Who's this? Greyfriars Bobby, Michaela, woo! It is. He's a terrier from the 19th century who for 14 years after his owner died, he was sitting on the grave. Apparently there was some signal at midday or something, and he'd run off and get food from someone and come back. That's abiding. That's faithful. That's sitting there abiding. It's like this morning I soaked the porridge pan. Soak it. It's so much easier to clean. Abiding, soaking in Jesus. He can clean us up and we can be useful. So the cross glorifies, and he commands us to love, and he works in us. But he also galvanizes us to believe. So this is the last, to believe. And this is such a theme of John's gospel. It really is. So John chapter 20, verse 31 actually says, these are written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. And there's so many uses. If you go through John's gospel with a color, just color in all the believes. It's full of that. He really wants us to believe in Jesus. So straight on, no chapter break. There shouldn't be. That was put in later. Straight after this, you're going to deny me. He says, but don't worry. The next little bit. Don't worry. Believe in me, he says. He's preparing a dwelling place for us. I'll come back to get you because I want to be with you. I'm the way there. That's basically what he's saying, isn't he? Is he trying to soften the blow a bit? Like the doctor said to me a few years back, you have got cancer, but don't worry. We'll sort it out. Softening the blow. Is Jesus doing that here? I think he is, because he does know the future. He does know it's going to be all right. It'll be fine. And he means it. It will be fine. He's thinking of them. He's not thinking of himself. They're reeling. They're really upset. Their best friend is going, what's happening? But he's saying, don't worry. Do not let your hearts be troubled. And this actually, if you look further down in chapter 14, it comes in verse 27. So these are like bookends. It's a literary device. It's called inclusion. These are bookends for how to cope when you've got anxiety or a big trial or something ahead of you. How do you cope with it? So we can follow this. We can trust him in this. We can believe what he says. Believe in him. He says, believe, I can take you to where you cannot go. I can take you. And amazing here, Kate even brought it, the pearly gates and all that. He's preparing a place. He's preparing a place. It's real. It's where the Father resides. We can encourage each other. We're told to encourage one another with the hope of heaven. It's also a city. It's a kingdom. It's a better country. These are biblical terms for what heaven is like. It's wonderful. Do you think, I wonder what he's doing there. Do you think he said, I've gone to prepare a place? Do you have visions of flat pack furniture and dusting the picture rail? I don't think so. I don't think it's anything. Is it a place on a sofa with a little heart cushion? Or is it your room off a corridor just for you, not your husband, never mind him? It sounds awful, doesn't it? And the room number is 144,001. Woo! Tell that to the JWs. When you think of home, what do you think of? You know every creaking floorboard, you know every crack in the ceiling when you've lived there a while. For me, it was like when I was a kid, it was going from boarding school in Sussex back to Nairobi to my mother's Kenyan coffee, beautifully percolated, and her scrambled egg on wheaten bread. Oh, and my dad's hug. Home. It's where we want to be, isn't it? Home. And Jesus, if you look in the Bible, there's so much information about heaven, but I actually think it's going to be beyond our imagination. One pearl is a gate. Wow. Streets of gold, all the rest of it is incredible. These are just pictures. So, is it too good to be true? I don't think so, no. Think of it. Jesus has predicted that someone will betray him. And we see that Judas did. He's predicted that Peter will deny him. And we see from our perspective, he did. Now he's saying, I'm going to prepare a place. Well, we haven't got there yet. But we can know, we can be sure he will. If it were not so, would I have told you? He doesn't lie. He never lies. He never exaggerates. He's totally trustworthy and true. It's a bit like also in our own hearts. The Bible tells us that we're hardwired for eternity. He's put eternity in the hearts of man. Wow. It's like in Oman, when we lived there, we went to this beach and we saw this big turtle hatching her eggs, and then the little hatchlings go into the sea and they go swim for thousands of miles. And then they know the exact way to swim back home, like a homing device. So we are drawn to this. We're drawn, and we can encourage each other through our troubles by believing in him. That's what we need to do. In The Last Battle by C.S. Lewis, the unicorn is called Jewel. And this is what he says. He is sort of about leaving this temporary world into our eternal home. He says, okay. Oh, no. Maybe the slide is missing. Yeah, anyway, I'll paraphrase. He says, this whole life so far has been like the cover and the title page. And now the great story is beginning. That's the paraphrase. It's a great quote. I don't have it in my head, but something like that. So basically, Jesus has gone after the resurrection, the ascension, but later we'll see how he doesn't abandon us. He hasn't abandoned us. And we are to love each other and show the world that he's for real. So we can encourage each other. Yes, we will lay down our lives for him. We will. I've been walking with God for 42 years, and there's no way I would ever dream of turning my back on him. But, there was Peter. No way, no, I'll do this. So we trust God to get us to the end. We trust him to help. Angus asked me, would you like God to take away your physical issues? I've got some problems from an accident. So yes, but not if it meant losing his presence. And Jesus said, take away this cup, but what you want, Father, your will. Moses said, I'm not going to the promised land with the angel you promised unless you come. It's got to be with Jesus. What's your heart? Is your heart there? I don't mind being single. I don't mind being barren. I don't mind having this problem. I don't mind my physical pains. I don't mind being jobless. As long as I've got you, you are my one thing. Change me, change us, so that we are ready and can truly lay down our lives for Jesus. So here are the questions, like, will you? Do you need help to love as Jesus loves? Do you need accountability in areas of denial and weakness? Will you encourage someone about the hope of heaven? Do you know the way? Jesus ends this passage, verse 4, you know the way. It's going to build up to the big I am statement, which we all love. I'm just going to hand over to Angus to quickly finish off, and then over to Ezra to bring the communion.